Okay.
Good morning, one and all, and thank you all of you for joining on this Saturday for this session. On behalf of Adamas University and I, Jyoti Bansal, Director Quality Assurance and IQAC of Adamas, extend my warm welcome to all the esteemed panelists of the day, all the faculty members who have joined us, the students and the external participants. A very exciting panel discussion for the day today that is on transforming HR in the digital era, quality assessment and implicit issues. It's a jointly organized event between Adamas University and Federation of World Academics. Before we begin with the session, I would briefly like to introduce Adamas University and FWA to the participants here. Adamas University is a young, upcoming, multidisciplinary university in the state of West Bengal, established in 2014 by Professor Samit Ray, with a vision to provide solution to the educational needs under one roof. We aim to create an environment for students that will not arm them with the right knowledge, but also to develop them as a well-rounded members of the society. We have 10 schools covering disciplines like management, media, pharmacy, basic sciences, life sciences, biotechnology, liberal arts, smart agriculture, law, and engineering. One of its kinds of university in the state of West Bengal, which has just covered all the disciplines, perhaps a true multidisciplinary approach of our university. We currently have 5,000 plus students and a student faculty ratio 12. We are represented by Professor Dr. Naveen Das, who is the Pro Vice-Chancellor of Adamas, who will be eventually sharing his thoughts on the topic and also more about the Adamas University and what we are looking forward from this session. Then FWA, that is Federation of World Academics, an organization that provides a platform for all the academicians across the country and the world to come to a common platform to share experiences and knowledge so that everyone benefits in this knowledge world and gain excellence among the academic arena. We have Dr. Rizvi representing FWA as the Vice President of FWA. Today he will be moderating this important session. I again welcome you all for this session. Before I get into the introduction and the objective and the outcome of this session, I would like to introduce the esteemed panelist of the day to all the participants. Harjeet Khanduja, thank you for being here. He is currently a Senior Vice President, Human Resources as Reliance Jio. He's an international speaker, an author, poet, visionary HR leader, inventor, and influencer. He has set multiple greenfield projects and has handled HR for large multinational organizations in various geographies, including India, US, and Canada. His experience spans a range of industry sectors that include automotive, manufacturing, pharma, alternate energy, IT, telecom, digital healthcare, and retail, and has worked with business houses like Tata, Reliance, and Ram. He's a Thomson medalist with IIT Roorkee and has completed his management education from INSEAD. He's a certified practitioner of SAP, HCM, Six Sigma, Executive Coaching, OKRs, Design Thinking, Predictive Index, Tata Business Excellence Model, ISO 9000, 27000, Insights Wheel, HIPAA, Value Engineering, Kaizen, and 5S. And on the top of it, he has 3 published patents in the area of HR technology. Pleasure to have you here with us, Mr. Khanduja, for this session.
Thank you, Jyoti.
Another panelist of the day is Dr. Ankita Singh, Senior Vice President and Global Head HR, CIGNEX Datamatics. She has over 22 years of progressive experience in managing and leading various aspects of human resources, spanning across high-paced business domains of ITES. Dr. Singh holds a PhD in management and is a gold medalist in BBA and MBA. She has done her HR and business strategy related executive management programs from IIM Ahmedabad, ISB Hyderabad, and XLRI. A certified Thomas profiling practitioner, recently awarded by Forbes India and Great Manager Institute as top 100 people manager in India 2021. Congratulations, Dr. Ankita, for the achievement. Apart from this, her great recognition has also, she has also successfully completed one of the most prestigious certification from Harvard Business School online, that is on sustainable business strategy. Thank you, Dr. Ankita, for joining us. Pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. Pleasure is all mine. Thank you.
Another panelist, esteemed panelist of the day is Mr. Vikas Dua, who is HR Head IPG DXTRA, HR professional with high value experience in the domain and having worked with both startups and large corporations driving HR in the APAC region. He has been instrumental in building careers for over 120,000 individuals across the levels, and currently he's leading the HR function across India for IPG DXTRA, a part of Interpublic Group, the world's leading marketing communications company. Welcome you, Mr. Dua, over the panel, and thank you for your time to join this session.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
Another panelist of the day is Mr. Dharam Rakshit, who is heading the HR of Hero MotoCorp Limited. He's having experience of more than 2 decades in the industry. Mr. Rakshit works globally in the area of HR and has expertise in creating strategic interventions for productive employee engagement and supply chain expansion for the organizations. Prior to Hero MotoCorp, he worked with some prominent brands like Tata Steels, Hindustan Coca-Cola, Mondelez International, Godrej Industries Limited, and Larsen and Turbo. I welcome you again, Mr. Rakshit, over the board. Thank you so much for being with us today. Another panelist, the next panelist of the day is Professor Dr. Naveen Das, an academician, currently Pro Vice-Chancellor Academics and Dean of School of Business and Economics, Adamas University, Kolkata. He studies his BTech honors from IIT Kharagpur, PGDM from IIM Kolkata, and earned his PhD from NLU Jodhpur. He has held corporate positions like Strategic Business Unit Head in Godrej, GE Appliances, Bombay, and a Vice President Intellectual Capital in Evron Education Systems, Chennai. In his academic experience spanning more than 2 decades, he has held positions like Founding Dean of IBS Hyderabad, Associate Director of Indian School of Business Hyderabad, and a Director, School of Business and Management, NSHM Knowledge Campus, Kolkata. Dr. Das has authored many journal publications, conference proceedings, and edited books, and consulted private, public, and government organizations. Thank you, Professor Das, for accepting this invitation and being with us on this panel.
Thank you, Jyoti.
The last and not the least is Dr. Irfan Rizvi, a very dynamic individual, person who is currently a Vice President of Federation for World Academics and a Professor of Leadership and Change Management and Area Chair at International Management Institute, New Delhi. Dr. Rizvi has more than 2 decades of academic experience in the field of developing leadership practice, leadership communication, and change management. Prior to IMI New Delhi, he worked with some prominent institutions like JP Business School, Change Consultant, and Deputy Head on MPWRD in the World Bank, NIS Sparta Limited and HCL Limited. Thank you, Dr. Rizvi, for your coordination, for being with us. Thank you so much. I'm honored, and I would like all the participants to have a huge round of clap for all the panelists of the day. The focus of today's webinar will be to discuss and deliberate and make all the participants, including all of us, to understand on digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation. The various reasons for the digital transformation of the HR function, which is a very important function of any organization, as well as the benefits and the challenges it brings, this will be discussed during this webinar. The webinar or this panel discussion will also present ideas for the participants, who are majorly the faculty members and the students, that how today's academic institutions can design their teaching methodologies to make the students digital ready, who will possess all the technical and functional skills. I'm sure we'll have a lot of enlightenment and a lot of learnings from this session on this topic, which is a very exciting topic, that is transforming HR in the digital era, quality assessment and implicit issues. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to request Dr. Rizvi, who will be moderating today's session, to initiate the discussion. Thank you so much. Over to you, Dr. Rizvi.
Thank you very much, Jyoti, for such a nice introductions of everyone. And I think you have done full justice with everyone. And I'm very happy on behalf of FWA for partnering with Adamas University, a very progressive institution, as I heard about it. And then I've had the privilege of meeting your VC earlier. A great institution trying to do stuff which is cutting edge and trying to and it's a very wide array of programs and schools, and I'm sure in the able hands of your current VC and Professor Das as the PVC, illustrious people, and the other faculty members, I'm sure this institution is going to grow leaps and bounds and really make an impression on the entire country. Having said that, you have already talked about the FWA. I mean, very quickly, FWA, Federation for World Academics, is a kind of a think tank and an advocacy group, wherein we try to talk about and discuss what are the issues and challenges before the academic world today, mostly focusing on the professional education of engineering, pharmacy, business management, and stuff like that. And also, we try to bring about a more synergy between academia and the industry. And we have been doing this work for quite some time. We have kind of started having some footprints internationally also, with some of our members coming from other universities abroad. And I'm proud to say that in last few years of our existence, we have been able to really create a small ripple in the wide ocean, and we hope that in times to come, we'll try to convert into a major change effort towards education and academia and industry synergy. One of our major aims is that we would like to bring about the best of the academics world into all institutions, especially focusing on institutions which are not located in metros, who may not have necessarily the access of what is happening on the cutting edge front, whether it comes to the pedagogy, whether it comes to the content that is taught, whether it is evaluations and assessments, etc. And by creating such webinars, etc., we try to bring institutions in metros closer to those who are in smaller towns, so that we can learn from each other. And we have been very, very fortunate to have wonderful people, illustrious people, to have become a part of this entire movement. And I must mention, Harjeet happens to be one of our board members, and his contribution has been tremendous. Vikas has been contributing big way all along in everything that we do. And through this forum, I would like to request everyone present here, to be part of this movement, which is called FWA, which is a non-profit body. All our work is done through, contributions from people. And our very illustrious General Secretary is Shiv Shankar Sharma. I don't know whether Shiv, are you there? Okay, he's not there. He's one who works in the background and but does a tremendous job of bringing in together. And we have, memberships available for faculty members and also to the students. Maybe at the end of the program, my colleague Ankita Yadav. Ankita, are you there?
Yes, sir, I'm there, but outside.
Outside, so you can't put your camera on. Okay, come inside so that everyone can see you also. Maybe at the end of the program, we'll send across a mailer to you or something Ankita will do so that, through, of course, our friend Jyoti, so that students can also become a part of this moment. Having said that, thank you very much, everyone, especially the panelists who have joined in, and proud to mention that they are so supportive that one call and they come on board. Okay, and it's a pleasure to be partnering with Adamas for this event today. What we are going to do today is already 11:47, which means we have already started rolling. We would like our discussions to be, the topic Jyoti has already mentioned. We are focusing on, something which is changing the entire business world and the world of work, I would say. It's not necessarily business world. In fact, academia, nothing is remaining untouched with this digitalization, and leading to digital transformation. And this is something which is the future. And so whole idea was bringing this up was that to understand the concept, understand its current level of practice, and then what have been its implications on the business and industry. Plus, after all, everything that we do in terms of in any organization, any institution, the best of the processes get undermined by the people. Okay, so ultimately it is the people who have to work on these processes, these technologies to make it successful. So implications on people, how do we prepare people, how to work effectively on these platforms is what is the focus. And also keeping in mind the amongst the audience, we have faculty members as well as the students. So how as an academic institution, what we as teachers, because I also belong to this community of teachers, how we as teachers, what we can do in order to prepare our students for that eventuality when they take up a job, when they go on to that, join the organization, who have already in a digital framework, then how they can, when they join the organization, can hit the ground running, so that they are not only aware of what is the concept, but also in terms of practice, and they can start contributing from day one. So that's the basic idea. And we would like to have, general discussions about explaining the concept, practice, issues, and challenges as to what some of the panelists who are representing excellent organizations in India, what have they done? And then we will open up the arena for questions from the audience. And we have tried to work out, something like a 55-45 kind of a break. Yes, 55 minutes, we'll have the webinar, and then maybe 40 minutes, 40% of the time. So we're looking at 60 minutes of speaking time by the speak panel members, and then 30 minutes devoted to Q&A. Hopefully, most of the fundamental questions would be answered during the presentation, and some of them which would be left out, or you have other curiosities, you can throw it up to the panelists. While you are asking questions, my request would be that put your name, okay, tell us, are you a student or a faculty member, and then pose your question. Try to be as brief as possible so that we can best utilize the time. If you have a question towards a specific speaker, you can direct to that. If you want to have a generic question, just ask. We will find out, one of us will step forward to respond to your query. I also have a very quick small request. Put your audios off mode so that any disturbance in the background does not create any havoc over here. And this is what we are going to do. I hope all of you agree with it. Okay. And let's, for the sake of time, because it's a very vast topic, jump into the issues right in the very beginning. And to begin with, this entire concept, the digitalization, and then subsequently digital transformation is something which has emerged, last few years, and it has really taken a huge impetus and moved very in a speedy manner over the period when we had to be in the lockdown mode. and physically people were not present. So, things have to be done in a remote way, using technology in a big way. So the concepts many a times are not very, very clear to people. Okay. So to begin with, we would like first and foremost for us to be very clear on the concepts of digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation. And if you permit me, I'll say a few words, and then I would invite my colleague and friend Vikas, who has kind of an huge expertise in the area, to as a lead respondent to this, and then other members of the panel can also pitch in. Okay. So digitization, as I see, and I'm not, sorry. Yeah, digitization is the process of converting information from a physical or to an analog format. Okay. Digitalization is leveraging digitized data to improve business processes. And digital transformation, which is just not possible without digitization and digitalization, is implementing a series of technological and human changes to restructure the existing business models, thereby leading to new opportunities and creating new values for business. A quick example of each one of them. When we talk about digitization, the example is that when the Netflix as a company changed its, movie renting out business from, cassettes and CDs, okay, to improve movie quality. Okay, so it was into renting CDs and movies, and they changed their renting business by turning cassettes into digital CDs. So cassettes to digital CDs is an example of digitization. And then subsequently, digitalization, Netflix supported its customers by letting them select their CDs of choice, CDs of movies of choice on its website before delivering them to their homes. Okay. So that is first conversion. Second is digitalization, renting out the choice. And third, what digital transformation Netflix as a company did, that it switched from DVD by mail business to an online streaming platform that operates automatically from user subscription to movie watching movie watching. So now you don't have to rent it out. It has not to be, CDs are not to be delivered. Now you can go on the platform and watch the movie of your choice. And what further did digitalization, that with machine learning and big data technology, which is a very important tool in the process of digitalization, Netflix started recommending movies to its subscribers by studying the choices or the movies that they were watching. And then it studied what kind of movies this person wants and watches. So this is how very quickly it is. And my friend Vikas is going to explain it in a much, much better manner. I'm a non-tech person, only what we call a techno-dehati. See, the process of digitization is a manual process. Process of digitalization is semi-automated process, whereas digital transformation, as I understand, is a fully automated process using the cutting-edge tools in the information technology. This is what my understanding is, and of course, I was reading from a text also, so it's not, don't think that it's all I have memorized. And may I now request Vikas to take it forward and very quickly explain to our audience as to what digitalization, and transformation means. Over to you, Vikas. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rizvi. And I think, with the sharing that you have done as an academician of high stature, I think it's impossible to try and add too much to it, but I'll still try nevertheless. Before I do that, however, just a vote of thanks to the Adamas University and FWA, like, the Sovan Basu Group HR head said in the chat, this is possibly, and I'm keeping myself out of the equation, one of the most power-packed, most accomplished HR leaders you could have hoped to get onto one webinar. So it's an honor for me personally to be here today. So with that, what I probably want to share is that while we're talking about digitization and the transformation, I think it's important for us to also understand why we are talking digital, and digital is pretty much a buzzword today. And when I think about it, I can't help but relate it to the impact it has had on our lives, both not only in the professional space, but even in the personal space. Till a few years ago, my wife used to take the services of a beauty parlor. And I'm not saying that she has stopped doing that or she is not doing that anymore. I don't think she will ever stop. The difference is that now that beauty parlor comes home. And that is one part of the digital transformation that we've seen in our personal lives. And don't for a moment think I'm sexist. My barber also comes home only. So I have also completely digitally transformed. On the professional front, if I take an example, which maybe any one of us is familiar with, the recruitment interviews. In an era gone by, we would have to take an off from work. You would have to make an excuse. Sometimes you would have to drop our mother to the railway station. At other times, we would say we have an unsettled stomach, because that is an ailment which you can recover from in one day and go back to work the next day after having given your interview somewhere. Today, as an HR leader, we are interviewing candidates on a day-to-day basis, sitting out of our own homes. And the candidate is also sitting out of his or her own home. And that is, again, a classic benefit or change that we've seen as far as digital transformation in HR is concerned. So with all of this converging, like you mentioned, Dr. Rizvi, in the last couple of years because of the pandemic and, even the technological advances coming together at the same time. So earlier, what used to be pretty much paper-driven or physical record-driven employee information has now started at the origin point itself getting digitized. So the digitalization starts right at the time when an employee is even applying to your organization. And the huge transformation we've seen in the last couple of years is that it is not just now an Excel sheet or a database which is now available to the HR team or to some particular people within the organization. This entire data is converging in a manner, thanks to new technologies like cloud, into an available data set which is possible to be accessed by people on a need-to-know basis. So what do I mean by that? Let's break it down into a simple format in line with what Dr. Rizvi shared. So the physical record of an employee when he or she joins in the earlier days on paper, filling up a joining form, today is now digitized because you send them a joining link or a web page where they need to send in their information. So that is digitized. That information goes into the backend, into a database, which is on a cloud server. This is seamlessly fed into the organization and different teams within the organization. So from the hiring team, that data now moves into, let's say, the onboarding team in the organization, the people who are responsible for onboarding that employee. Once that individual has been onboarded, that data again is now made available to the training team. So the training team and the engine takes over, understands what qualification or what additional training the individual requires, and starts deploying that for that particular individual. Going further into the employee lifecycle, that data now travels into the HR business partner team, into the finance team for the compensation and the monthly payouts, goes towards the L&D team, which is responsible for checking what kind of learning and development interventions the individual requires. And the beauty of the digital transformation is that it is not just limited to these people or the so-called administrative people in the organization. It is also available now to the manager of the new employee, so that the manager has a holistic view of what that employee is all about. And it is available to the employee himself or herself, so that she knows how she is doing as far as her performance goes, as far as her learning journey is concerned in the organization, as far as what her compensation roadmap is looking like. And just like, again, Dr. Rizvi pointed out, when Netflix is recommending titles or movies or series for us to watch, today's technology platforms are actually recommending what kind of role an individual will be better suited for, what kind of learning programs that person should pick up to enhance his or her own skill set. So that's how the whole value chain as far as digital transformation is concerned in our HR world in the organization is really shaping up in my view. And therefore, very exciting time. As a individual who's joining a corporate, I'm pretty much today, the new generation that's coming in is so digitally savvy. In their personal lives, everything is digital. Unless the organization and the HR team becomes equally digital in its approach, there will be a mismatch of thought process, and that's where there will be dissonance as far as employees are concerned. So we've got to make sure that we match our processes and our thought process as far as digital transformation is concerned to what the employee of 2022 and beyond wants. So that's what probably I'll only add here, Dr. Rizvi.
Thank you very much, Vikas, for nice examples of real life as to what your organization and what other organizations are doing. May I invite any other member on the panel, Harjeet, Dr. Ankita, Dr. Dharam? Yes, Dr. Das. Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rizvi.
Pleasure.
And thank you, Mr. Dua, for laying down, the practice perspective so very well. I today on this platform, I occupy a very, I would not say unique, but strange position, because while I'm a participant, I'm also a co-host, you may say. So happy to partner with FWA, and I'm sure this partnership will go a long way in future. This is just the beginning. As already introduced by Jyoti, I happen to be the Pro-Vice-Chancellor of Adamas University, looking after the academic affairs. But I also have a substantial corporate experience. So let me take or rather, let me have the temerity in front of such seasoned HR professionals to talk about HR from a ringside view, rather, to some extent. And then I will quickly dive deep into the academic aspects a little bit. Once an academic, always an academic, and I'm sure Dr. Rizvi will agree with me. About 35 years ago, when many of us joined the corporate world, I'm sure many of you would remember that we used to have attendance registers. And quickly, somewhere in the early 90s, they were replaced, at least in some forward-looking organizations. Like I was working with Godrej in Bombay. They were replaced with a punch card. And then gradually, something else happened. We today have the fingerprint machines, by whatever technical name they are called. They, in some places, you don't even have that. You have remote access, and therefore, maybe the moment you enter your office, your attendance is marked. Your rest of the office is alerted that the meeting is on. Possibly while on the way to office, you can digitally interact with people and plan out your day. Things are happening already. In fact, I have seen the topic. The topic talks about pre and post-COVID kind of situation. To my mind, actually, this kind of a mini transformation of HR has been happening for some time. Digitization, where much of our data got digitized, possibly in India, even in India, compared to the Western world, who are slightly ahead of us in terms of their processes. I think in India also, we had more or less 100% digitized our databases. As far as the processes were concerned, digitalization was happening in some organizations, obviously because of the need of distributed workforce. Possibly there it happened slightly faster than possibly smaller organizations which didn't have the resources, or they thought that it is always better to have a blend of face-to-face as well as a digital interface. To my mind, the recent phenomena of the Great Resignation is the pinnacle of transformation. And give me a moment to explain. Obviously, I'm not a devil's advocate here. I won't say that what happened is good, but I think transformation, if it is only digital, possibly a function as sensitive as HR would have a backlash like we have seen. While part of our routine matters can get digitized, get digitalized, some of the processes can get digitalized. We still need a very, very empathetic leader like our Soban Basu, who just wrote a message. He heads our HR in the university. We need an empathetic person to reach out to people and solve their problems, to talk to human beings as human beings. And this is where I think the next level of transformation is going to happen, which will be a blend of digital as well as physical. While much of our HR processes are getting automated, we, I think, still have the time to present ourselves as human beings to the other human beings. This is where I think somewhere, I'm not saying in all sectors, but in my experience, I have been consulting some IT sector companies, smaller though, maybe startups. As long as it remains a startup, nimble, small, people are very happy. They say that we have left our big organizations and come here. Dr. Ankita has done her part of her studies at ISB, so I'm sure she would agree with me. Startups in ISB, an institute which is so much focused on placement and success of students, is a huge draw. But even there, the moment organizations become slightly larger, when it crosses maybe 500, 600 people, I think somewhere the human touch starts missing out. The great resignation perhaps was a realization that human beings need to be treated like human beings. They need to have time to reflect on what's happening, or perhaps what is my role in this world? How does my role fit in my overall life? I think these are the aspects which the modern day HR and the HR of the future, the transformed HR, is going to handle in the days to come. Just one small, if you may allow, we all know there is a theory by Kubler-Ross, a theory of grief. COVID-19 was no less than perhaps a global grief. All of us, we have lost friends, we have lost family. Many of us have lost perhaps very near and dear ones. Grief struck us, we were all shocked. Kubler-Ross model talks about the grief period, the grief stages, 5 of them. I'm sure many of us, we know it, therefore there is no point explaining each one of them. But today I feel we are gradually coming out of it and trying to, make peace with what happened, what we have lost, what is there for us to gain. In the days to come, HR will be more human. HR will finally return to its human face and behave less of a machine, less of a process-driven function, and more of a human-to-human connect. Thank you. I think that's what I wanted to just say in the beginning.
Thank you, Professor Das. I think you very nicely expounded what you're talking about. May I now reach over to my friend Harjeet? Okay, and may I request you, Harjeet? I mean, of course, we have already
30 seconds.
We have already covered the in terms of what the concepts are and what are the practices that are happening. Let's move a step further and talk about, and we would like to pick your brain in terms of what kind of digitalization and transformations have you done in your organization, and specifically, how did you go about preparing your HR, etc. Harjeet, over to you. Thank you.
So, thank you, Dr. Rizvi. Going in my typical style, I will not answer your question.
Okay.
I will answer your previous question.
All right, fair enough.
So, look, what is physical? Like if all of us would have been in your campus and speaking to you, that is physical, right? And if somebody would have created a video of our chat and you are sitting in front of computer and you are watching that video, that is digitization. This what we are doing is digitalization. But this is not digital transformation. You know why this is not digital transformation? Because here again, you are listening to us. You are not participating. If you start chatting with us in the chat while you are listening to us, that would be digital transformation, and then you will be able to get the real benefit of it. So I request, if you start interacting with us, one is we will be more meaningful. And that is why I requested Dr. Rizvi that I will not answer his question, because if we only have to speak, then all of us have heard each other so many times, we know what each one of us is going to speak. So you start talking to us, you start pointing out whatever we are saying. It is not that we know all. You start telling us, okay, boss, talk about this. This is what we want to know. Then we understand your mindset and we can actually get to what you want to hear. Look, each and every company has done a lot of it. So coming on to your second question, Dr. Rizvi, and I will, like in pandemic, if you see the top 100 organization, I was going through the list of top 100 organizations that did very well. And it was like Microsoft, Apple. So all the digital organizations were supposed to do well. So they did well. I found there was a pet food company. Oh, the company which actually makes food for dogs and cats. That was in the top 100 companies in the world. And I was amazed, what are these guys doing? And I realized what that company was doing was, during the pandemic, they had an e-commerce interface. They were doing home delivery. They were taking digital payments. And whichever company was following this model, whichever company quickly shifted to that model, that company was doing well. Whichever company did not shift to that model, that company was not doing well. So benefit is directly bottom line. I will tell you the story of Kodak. You would have heard Kodak, photography organization. Kodak has been in the business for 100 years. And they were the first ones to make the digital camera. But when they made digital camera in 1976, the engineer who made it and presented it to the board said, this is a great invention, but hide it somewhere. We don't want to use it. And like this guy was saying, why hide it? Because they said it is going to kill our business. Because we are in the business of printing films. You know, Kodak had an app called oPhoto before Facebook was launched, and it does exactly what Facebook does. But they used oPhoto for printing the photographs rather than using it like Facebook. So when you digitize and you don't do digital transformation, Kodak went bankrupt in 2012 selling oPhoto to another digital organization that you use this. So if you are not getting into a digital transformation mode, thinking that it is going to save your current business, then definitely you are going out of business. So guys, show me that you can do digital transformation. I would like to at least hear hi from you guys or some comments from you guys. Looking forward to it. Thank you, Dr. Rizvi, over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Harjeet, for quickly talking about. Now, I think the time is already 12:15. We have 45 minutes on us, and we will just speed up the pace at which we are talking about. Some of the things we have already taken care of. I would like to reach out to the two other panel members, Dharm and Dr. Ankita, and would invite their comments first to Dharm as to what kind of digital transformation did your company embark upon, and what kind of issues and challenges did you feel? I mean, did you come across? Would you like to, in another 2-3 minutes, expound on that? Over to you, Dharam.
Thanks, Dr. Rizvi, and thanks, Harjeet, also for beginning of the very interesting kind of the conversation. Say this thing, each and every company has its own set of the challenges. And the set of challenges are addressed by the different ways and means. And certainly one of the ways and means here exists the digital and digitalization, digital transformation. It may be relevant, may not be relevant for my participants. So I will just try to touch upon the subject, and then after I try to move to the larger space where the audience may get more benefit and get more interest. So for example, like this thing, we are playing in the auto sector, and we are the world #1 in the auto sector. But in the two-wheeler space, we are the number one. However, during the pandemic time, what actually happened, when the restrictions were there, you can't reach to your dealership, you can't go and feel your bike. So it was a great difficulty how we are going to sell it. And from where although the digital or digitalization or digital transformation journey has begun much earlier, but however, it got momentum during the period. And the momentum and this acceleration was phenomenal. So what actually happened, we thought this, I think what actually is in the mind of the customer or the consumer. So consumer do not want to move to the shared mobility due to this pandemic, which was the trend some years back, when the overization of the economy has happened. And everything was moving to the shared kind of thing, shared mobility, shared housing, Airbnb, and every kind of thing which was coming like a thing. Okay, the world is limiting and we have everything to need to share. Now again, the era which we found this thing, we are moving toward that my own space. But the question was that how we are going to create the bridge between the customer as well as the company and what we have. And then we transformed ourselves by having the virtual dealership. You can download the applications, you can go and you can feel the bike, you can experience the bike, okay? You can see the entire impact of the bike in the digital platform, and then you can take the buying decisions. But this was the transformation at the front of the front end. But however, at the HR, now we actually started seeing that what kind of competency do you require, because my traditional mode of the selling is completely getting transformed. And previously the people who were actually having the good selling skills, perhaps in the new normal, they are going to be becoming a misfit. So what kind of competency what required, what kind of people we require, okay? And in that very context, we also realizing as a HR, how much we are transforming ourselves. And then we started looking back and they started diagnosing, okay, what are the success pillars of success for this digital transformation journey? Because what Harjeet was mentioning about that he was encouraging the participant to participate, and that is perhaps the journey of the transformation goes much faster. I realized one thing, that still we have just touched upon the digital transformation here in this forum also, because we have not taken what our audience want to hear from us. Rather, what we want to tell them, we are telling this thing, and we are encouraging them, okay, after orienting their mind to participate in this way, just like the AI technology. So as a HR, what is the important for us? What we should be infusing either in our future employees, or culturally what we should be inducing, so the culture become resilient and they become much and more adaptable to the new age kind of the technology what is taking place. So first, nothing changes, only the agility, speed and adaptability are the core of the business and core of success going forward. My second prescription, like this thing, the entire process is a change management, and how much as a HR professional we are adaptable, or when we are hiring an employee, are we going to look for that kind of a competency, at what level the person is sitting. So, for example, I will just tell you the another example. Today we have some bit of conflict between the Russia and the Ukraine. It is going to disturb the complete market, which is based out in the Eastern Europe, and our bikes are also going there. Whether my sales guys are able to identify those kind of trends and willing to accommodate themselves and accept that kind of a change, that it is not going to help the business, or what is the different mode we need to take. Third, what are your employee wants from you? Are we able to give a new kind of the experience to them in the digital transformation? So for example, when we moved to complete to the lockdown phase, we immediately changed our ways of working. Then when the COVID is not there, but what we realize is the thing, when the physical interactions are not happening, that is not helping you to develop your personal relationship with the persons. And that's why everybody needs to come back. And it is not about that we were feeling that the work is not happening, work was happening, but it has a own set of the issues. because the digital dexterity and something were also taking a big step, and it was eating your personal time. And so some days back, I was telling this thing to that in the age of digital transformation, every day I need to negotiate the one corner with my family members. Please give it to me from where I can start executing my work. Okay, and the second thing was interesting thing which was happening, that my entire private life, my entire house has become the public. Everybody, every nook and corner has been known to everyone. Okay, where I sit, and they start making something about me. Okay, what are the person? Who am I? So that was the third thing, and the fourth important thing is important. What kind of the unique employee experience you are going to provide as HR? Okay, these are sort of couple of competencies. What I find the thing is which are becoming very, very important in the age of the digital transformation. I will end up by the kind of things, and since I am finding the most of the people are from the Bengal, and I will just give you the one very how the transformations and how we are witnessing right now. Some days back, I live at Gurgaon, and many of time I keep visiting to Delhi. And when I go to Delhi, India Gates comes in between. And some days back, the government of India has decided to have a statue of the Subhash Chandra Bose at the India Gate, and this statue was not ready. So this is the holographic graphic statue has been put there. This is, I think, this is the pinnacle of the entire digital transformation. Sometimes we can think of also when we are also working upon the sustainability, how much we require that kind of like occupying the place and using the natural substances to convert into the statue rather than to have a holographic picture. So that's all from my side. If time permits, I will come back.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dharm. Very quickly, I will reach out to my friend Ankita. Okay. And Ankita, and of course, you would like to say what you want to say. But in addition to that, I would say, what digital transformation did your company get into? What issues, challenges, particularly from the people side? Over to you, Ankita.
Thank you, Dr. Rizvi. I think a lot has already been covered indirectly in some sense. But when we are talking about digital transformation or any transformation for that matter in an organization, it is all about people, right? Processes are changing, strategies are getting defined, but at the end of the day, everything has to be accepted, implemented by people. And that primarily was the challenge, because if we talk about digital transformation, I would say we have always been investing in it in a phased manner for last so many years. The pace definitely changed after COVID. And when primarily we talk about COVID, everybody asked why this change or why this transformation any organization is seeking. And the answer was at that point in time that this is the only option. That's the only way we can survive. Like Harjeet also mentioned, people who were able to adapt, they survived, they did good. Others could not because there was no other option. Even if you want to come and collaborate and physically work with each other, that's not the possibility. So that was communicated to them that this is the need. The second phase is now when the market is open, now when we are talking about hybrid system, now when few of us are already in the system and a lot of companies have gone to an extent when they are saying that it will be mandatory for you to come to office. Do we say that all the transformation that we have gone through can be ignored and we will go to page 1 where we were 2 years back? Probably not. So I would say that's the challenge each system will come across, that where we were made to be in last 2 years and what is the expectation for future. To summarize it, I would say when we deal with people, their basic question is why we are doing it. And you talk about past or future, they will always seek answer. What is the purpose, why we are doing it? If we are able to answer that why, probably 80% of the journey is already covered and there will be fewer challenges. Next definitely would be when we will be doing, in what phase manner, and where do we see our transformation going? What as an employee, as a team, as an organization, you seek from us as a participation. Like again, I would quote Harjeet while we were chatting. He said, one is you just look at it. The other thing is you participate, you become the part of the process. And it's really important for all organizations to, instead of assuming that this is the need of the time, this is the trend a market is following, we initially try and put processes in place and we push it to people. this is what we feel is right, you do it. Instead of asking them, where are we? What all is actually needed? What all should we go ahead with? So with respect to data, I think we have changed a lot of things. Dr. Rizvi, internally, I think every organization would have changed. We used to do annual surveys, which has moved to monthly, bi-weekly, or for few organizations on daily basis also. We have become more personalized in all our processes and policies. Through technical upgradation or the transformation that we have seen, one thing which has drastically changed, it has reduced the limitation. So when I talk about my organization, today geographies or the restriction doesn't matter much. Work from anywhere definitely is in picture. People who were not able to contribute for full 8 hours or 9 hours, like people who are on maternity leave or they have left their job already because of few challenges, because of this transformation, because we are digitally aware and available, people are back in the system. So there's a lot that has changed. I think people are ready to explore, experiment, and experience more to make system efficient. But I would conclude by saying what Professor Das very relevantly mentioned. It's more like a buffet, right? If you talk about platforms, tools, or options available as digital transformation, everything is available. You can literally automate every single thing. But what you actually want to pick up out of the buffet available, because considering what your team needs, what you will be able to implement, what's actually needed for your organization, and the right mix of human touch along with the digitization should definitely not be missed at any cost.
Thank you very much, Ankita. I think I really appreciated very crisply you have put across your ideas, and then the time is running out, and then probably you were keeping an eye on the time also where you were responding. It's 12:28. We have 32 odd minutes on us, and I'm going to shift gears, and I'm going to come down to some of the most relevant stuff which could be relevant to the audience largely, which comprises of faculty members and the students. And I would, digitalization or transformations have been taking place across, and we in the academia also realized when we could not physically be present in the class, we changed mode and went on to the online mode of teaching, and everyone, whether it's a faculty member, the students had to unlearn and relearn many things. Okay, probably what was missing out was the robustness of touch and feel of the classroom, but as Ankita said, Dr. Ankita said very nicely, there was no other option. Either we stop and stand still or we continue with something. So that's the kind of a challenge all of us faced. Now, very quickly, as we move into, I will move from L&D in the corporate world to the teaching and learning in the academic institutions. And so what the idea is that what is it that we can learn from what is happening in the L&D space, utilization of digital processes or digitalization, and how it can be translated into the academic world. It is 12:29, and I would like this part to be wrapped up in another 5 minutes, as every participant, every panel member is saying that we need to pick up more questions from the audience. So 5 minutes. How did you change about the L&D process, learning and development process, because it has a huge implication on academic institutions and what we do? So very quickly, beginning with Harjeet.
Hi, Dr. Rizvi. In fact, if you see, the transformation was not about telling people that, okay, we are going digital. Moment there was a need that, okay, now offices are closed down. So people knew how to use Teams or how to use Zoom. Quickly, everyone came on to this online media. And somebody was asking me, Dr. Rajiv was asking me that, what should we do with digital interviews? And I'm just combining that with the response. Look, what we had to teach people was behavior. It was not functional competencies or technical competencies, that how you switch on your laptop or how you log on to the system. It was like how you should adjust your camera so that we can see your face. What are the etiquettes that while you are interacting, you are not eating at the same time, and somebody is not jumping at your background. And if somebody is jumping at your background, then do what Vikas did, create a beautiful background and put the beautiful background there. Find a quiet place so that you can focus on, and in fact digital interviews are even simpler. You can actually open the response, so you have a cheat sheet on your desktop while you are taking the interview. So, and waiting time is much lesser. So digital is actually improving the experience of the candidate. And when you are saying, how do I make sure, like we had to tell managers also, because if a kid comes and sits in the lap of the employee, should you be upset? Because you can't change that behavior. So now work and life are getting integrated, and we should accept that in the corporate world. You say no, that bring kids to office. So now you have taken office to the home. See it that way. And baki a simple thing. If there is a need, then only things will happen. You said 5 minutes, so I will not give a story. Otherwise, I would have given.
No. I mean, in fact, 5 minutes to the entire question. Thank you very much, Harjeet. Dharam, very quickly, L&D transformation, changes in L&D digitalization or anything that you did. How did you move from classroom to the virtual class or whatsoever, and what issues and challenges? Very quickly, 1 minute. Thank you. You have to unmute yourself. Yeah.
So, Dr. Rizvi, I will just give you a very simple example because even though the lockdown was there, traveling restrictions were there, but still we were hiring the people. Okay. And one of the major challenge what we are facing, how we are going to induct them into system. So what we realized that our manufacturing setups were working, and if anybody is being hired in the manufacturing setup, how they are going to actually experience the entire manufacturing setup. Exactly. We created the VR technology and the AR technology. Okay. Wow. And then after, the people were having the virtual tour to in fact, my niece UHRO joined in this very world, where you start actually taking the round of all the factories through the virtual mode. Okay. And then after, he was making all the observations, what he is finding, and then after we are trying to see this thing, how we are going to accommodate all the observations. So these are something I see this thing, this has completely simplified the entire process of learning, because the learning has gone on to the on-the-go kind of a thing. Right. Today, I can have my mobile and I can start learning anything from anything.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Vikas, very quickly, your take.
Sure, sir. In fact, my perspective is that more than the corporate world, I think the academic world has actually transformed learning in a bigger way. When I see my 3-year-old attending classes on a laptop and the way her teachers have adapted, I just raise my hat to those academics. And in fact, as far as the corporate world is concerned, yes, some of the in-person interactions, we obviously converted them into forums like this. But then from a 8-hour workshop, we split it up into 3 days of 2 hours, because you have to make that change for a medium like this.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Vikas. Dr. Ankita, 30 seconds.
I think the major or the main change or shift that I have seen in L&D is, earlier we had to have a day. 30 people will attend this training and 6 hours training, and then we'll take the feedback. We will see the effectiveness, and that's it. I think now we have broadened that space. We tell them that this is your space. You are responsible equally for your growth, and you can go ahead with self-paced training. Everything is available. Be responsible, own it equally along with the organization. And that's something that I have seen as a major shift.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I have been doing a lot of back-to-back training. Particularly, the companies have become organizations have become very, very active in terms of now they don't have to spend too much of money conducting training programs because it's virtual. And the other advantage they see that in a physical classroom, they cannot pack in more than 25 to 30 candidates. And they realize that when you have a virtual classroom kind of a thing, so that it can be 50 plus. Okay. And my experience, because I have been, even yesterday, last 1 week, I have been doing this. And I think this will resonate with the faculty colleagues who are sitting here, that when you have a classroom of this kind, where a large number of, so-called learners are sitting together, every learner is not equally committed to learning. They have different kinds of behaviors. And I have experience, and you must have experience, as to a lot of them put their cameras on, I mean, few of them put their cameras on. A lot of them, they join in, they put their cameras off, and some of them just have the names. And when you call out the name, you realize this person is not there. So in fact, when you look at the challenge that the faculty members as such we felt, during the entire process, so ultimately someone who is committed to learning would be active on the space, as Harjeet, Dharam, everyone is talking about, be active, ask questions, etc. But someone who is not interested, this entire process is actually a killer for their learning. And we have seen happening with the kids also. I have seen my son attending class where the teachers keep on shouting, put your camera on, interact, and that doesn't happen. Now, in this kind of a scenario, we cannot say that this digital solution or digitalization process or online Zoom and other platforms have really added real value to it. Okay. And there is a huge question mark. Everyone is craving to come back to campus. And then you're also going back to campus from next week onward. And we realize that few classes that we have had, it has been very robust. I would like to reach out to, at this point in time, to Jyoti, who is kind of quality assurance. What has been, very quickly, 2 minutes, your experience in terms of, the kind of virtualization of the classroom, etc. And what were the issues and pain points? And that would be the last question from the panel side. And then we will, go on to fielding questions from the audience. Over to you, Jyoti. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Rizvi. Straight away, I would, to this question, I think Professor Das, who is Pro Vice-Chancellor Academics, would be the right person to answer. Okay. And, I want this forum to be more interactive with the HRs and who are here, rather than me, because I've been just dealing with them on all these issues, and I can go on and on with many
Thank you very much.
So Professor Das, thank you on my behalf to answer.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jyoti. We don't have the bandwidth to go on and on. So very quickly, Dr. Das, 2 minutes, pain points, and how did you resolve them?
I think already, as mentioned by you, I think Zoom fatigue was the biggest pain point, particularly with students. Remember, my other colleagues, whether Mr. Harjeet, Mr. Dua, or Dr. Ankita, or Mr. Dharam, they talked about the adult crowd, the crowd of executives who were there to learn in L&D, and there was a purpose for their learning. Remember, for students, there is another issue. The issue is of first selling the course, selling the content to them, and also the why, not only the what, but also the why. We all know, you can take the horse to the water, but can't make it drink. That's, I think, the biggest challenge. We have overcome that challenge to some extent through this blending, flipped class, and other aspects, but I think we still have a long way to go. We are, as a country, not like the Scandinavian countries who can just declare a gap year. We are too large a country with high stakes to declare this as a gap year. But yes, we had to do something, keep the show on. And that's what we have done with blended. Now with the students coming into the campus physically, I think we have to do a lot of catch up in terms of content. If the right content is there and the right intention is there, I think learning can happen anywhere on the go. But without these two things coming together, I think no matter how we discuss, how long we discuss, at the end of the day, it is the learners who have to decide whether they want to learn or not.
Okay. Thank you very much, Professor Das, for very, very nicely putting things across as to what is the challenge. But keep in mind that we have in India, in a country like India, as the Professor Das mentioned, we have a huge, what you call the digital divide. Whether it is general population or whether it is the corporate world, because companies who have deep pockets, who have the necessary financial means, they can embark upon digital transformation much faster. And similarly, when it comes down to children who come from various kinds of socioeconomic strata, some of these digital instruments are not available for them to access the class. Particularly, imagine a family living in a 2-room set, where you have only one mobile phone or 2 mobile phones, laptops cannot be procured. So there is this digitization, all of this. I mean, particularly when you're talking about larger process which touch the lives of all the people, it may do a lot of good to many people, but it may not necessarily be equally beneficial for lots of other people. And we need to keep in mind, I do remember, when we used to have physical classes, when you take the attendance, physically, and you call out names, you relate the name with the face of the person. there is a much better connect which happens. We also, before the pandemic happened, we used to circulate a contraption where every student will put their thumb mark and will have the attendance recorded. So someone said that it saves time, but it was creating a lot of racket in the class when this instrument was passed on. Okay, so there are pros and cons. It cuts both ways in terms of where to use these processes, digitalization, or digitize the process, or digitalize where it does not. It is not a must that it is going to serve your purpose everywhere, as some of the people are talking about this touchy and feely things. We are talking about human beings. There is a lot of feelings involved, and that comes in when you have a physical kind of a meeting. Okay, those kinds of issues are there. It's 12:42. I would like to, at this point in time, open up the forum for questions from the audience. You can open up your voice chat, speak up so that we can take your questions, and let's go. Dharam, I'll give, so Dharam, take about a minute to say what
We'll just take a 30-second,
sure.
Dr. Rizvi. Thank you
for
this opportunity. And I will just like to congratulate the academic world, because when the first time we had the lockdown, when the corporate world was actually struggling, I found this thing, the academic world already have moved to the digital platform. And I always understood that the academic world was much more conventional and orthodox. So let me congratulate. Okay.
Thank you.
This is a journey. Okay. In the journey, some hiccups will come, but I know this thing with a sustained effort, it will overcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Open to the audience, please. Any questions? Let's talk. Ask your questions. You can put it in the chat if you have a major issue, but we would prefer you to speak up. We'll love to listen to your voice. That's another way of interacting. And till you frame up your question, Harjeet, very quickly, 30 seconds for you, sir.
Yeah, so you were talking about infrastructure. Infrastructure is required for, I will tell you a story. In the lockdown, we were not having anything to eat. And then suddenly I saw a lot of vegetables coming on the dining table. So I asked my wife, what happened? Have you changed the vegetable vendor? He said, no, I have not changed the vegetable vendor. The vegetable vendor has changed his practices. She said, now this guy actually takes orders on Google Forms, and he accepts any kind of digital payment. So his customer base has grown 10 times. And because of that scale, he is able to provide a lot of variety of vegetables to all his customers. Now, a vegetable vendor can use Google Forms, which is the world-class technology. He can use any kind of digital payment. That is also a world-class technology. If we say infrastructure is a constraint and stop there, that is not the right thing to do. Solutions are around us. We don't open our eyes and see those solutions. That is what the problem is.
Okay. Very rightly. Thank you very much, Harjeet. And there is a very interesting thing which came at Sujoy Bhattacharya is asking, I mean, I'm not really against digitization or digitalization or automation. However, as a layman, I'm scared about the fact that digitization of cognition, the way we think, okay, the cognition and metacognition process is still at an immature state. So I still can procure information. You see, the beauty of it is that, somewhere this question is asked that when we are in the era of MOOCs and a lot of learning is available, thanks to God, Google, have all of information. What is the role of a teacher in this entire process? Okay. And the answer is very straightforward. Teachers are going to be the interpreters of the information, because everyone cannot read something and be able to make sense out of it. So we are not going to be pandering or offering information, but we would be actually explaining to the lowest common denominator, the dumbest student in the class, as to what he or she can understand by this particular process. So this is what it is. So cognition will change if we change that. I have Ms. Nancy Jaiswal raising her hand. Nancy, please go ahead and ask your question.
Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, whatever the thing has been said about the digital transformation, I totally agree with that. Like we are actually at the starting of our journey. Now, when we talk about learning and development, yeah, the teachers really trying their level best to make us understand about any particular topic. The thing is that when I talk about the practical skills, you cannot compensate by like lecturing through by virtual mode. It is really not possible, because when as a student, if I'm seeking a job, the hirer will not going to consider that okay, your study and whatever you have done is your is the virtual mode of learning. Just because of some reason, they won't accept me, they won't hire me. They definitely hire a person who is good at that particular skill. So what my point is, when we talk about the digital transformation, the acceptance in all the, like for example, there was one of the panelists, Dr. Ankita, she said that we should think about what is the requirement of digital transformation as an organization. So requirement in not just to enhance your company, rather than in terms of hiring a student also. You have to consider that also. This is very important.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. I think your question boils down to that those who have learned through the virtual mode, the online mode, and those who have learned through the offline mode, is there any difference in the quality of the learning? And number one, and number two, will the companies be equally open to all those students who have come through this modus, okay, for hiring them? Quick response from the people. I mean, Harjeet, Dharam, Dr. Ankita, Vikas. Yes, Harjeet, go ahead.
So what she said, I want to ask her a question.
Okay.
If you have to say hire a buy for your house, what will you look in that buy? If she has taken online classes, will you hire her? You will not hire her, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But if you have to consult a doctor and the doctor consults with you online, would you like to go to the doctor and meet in the clinic, or would you be okay to consult the doctor online?
I would okay to consult to doctor online, but the thing is, it depends upon the situation. If my situation is very deteriorated, so
that is the point I'm making. It depends upon job to job. When we start thinking about digitization, we take extremes. Everything should be digitized. It is not like that. Everything cannot be digitized. Thing is, everything should be physical. That is not possible. It has to be a word where what needs to be digitized and what doesn't need to be digitized, and the skill set you're working on. If you are in IT, you can sit at home and you can work. Employers will love you. If you're working on, say, right now, the most important skill is critical thinking. Why I'm asking you to ask questions? Because if you ask questions, that is what is required in today's world. Because if we have to move forward, we need to ask questions.
True. Thank you, Harjeet. Vikas, would you very quickly?
Yeah, very quickly. I'll just add to that. See, the world is today, the way I see it, moving towards selection basis skills, the ability to display and demonstrate the skills that you have. A simple example: few years ago, IT world used to categorize campuses on A, B, C grade, and then decide which campus they would go to in the year and hire those graduates. Today, they've deployed their platforms, their recruitment platforms across the nation. Anyone sitting in the smallest of towns can apply, go through the coding exercise, tests, and get selected. So in a true sense, I think this has really democratized the landscape for students.
Okay, thank you. I would, Dharam, there is a very nice question which has come in from Akanksha Das. She is pursuing BTech from biotechnology from Adamas. And she asked the question, is that what about competitive group discussions, which are also now an important part of hiring process? Doesn't the quality of discussion, reduces or comes down because of the virtual mode?
So, Dr. Rizvi, I don't agree upon the couple of things, because we are making our own presumptions about this online mode of learning. Okay, the online mode of learning, it is again a change management process, because we are moving from one transition to another transition. We are doing this phase journey. Okay, nothing is absolute here. But again, the given situation, if you just see this one, why the first of all, if I will just give the one prescription to a student, why they are feeling themselves inferior. that since I have not been given the learning through the offline mode, even the offline and online mode, it is upon your learning ability. Okay, and I will just give you one example, the crudest example. We have the Berkman also, and we required that our supply chain partners were facing the problems of the builders, and what we created the online platform to have the simulation for the building kind of the skills. So entire learning content was actually between the 3 months has been compacted into the compression to the only the 2 weeks kind of things. Only 2 days the practical training happened, and they became the good to go kind of the builders kind of thing. When the building kind of a technology can be given, okay, yeah. I don't really think anything is not possible. Now come to this group discussion kind of thing. Here it is again a group discussion is happening. Only that you are acting as a moderator, but most of the people are actually when I want to intervene, I am intervening. Okay, so it is. I find that it is more democratic way of asserting your voice and asserting your thought, rather than to have a Machli Bazaar where everybody is trying to tell, okay, and nobody is getting attention. So I love to have a group discussion, and we are continuously going to the campuses. We are having the different kind of the programs also, and I find this mode is absolutely working perfect.
Okay, thank you very much. So I mean, again, as I said, that everything cuts both ways. So there is a discussion going on, and there is a simultaneously there is another chat one-on-one going on. So probably when you are not listening to them and paying on the chat, then you are missing out something over there, and vice versa. So, I mean, I think, as I said, that it cuts both ways. There is a wonderful thing which has been said by Sucharita Nandi. And she says, had this digitalization, all this would have happened had there not been any pandemic where everything had to be closed down. That's a good question. But remember, Sucharita, I'm not taking it to the panel. I'm simply saying necessity is the mother of invention. Whenever the situation arises, then something change takes place, and this is going to be on and on and on. And whether we should be thankful to the COVID or not, but somehow it has created certain newer avenues, newer opportunities, newer things. And as everyone was mentioning on the panel, that some of the learning, some of the things, some of the processes and technologies we have developed during the pandemic period, they served our purpose. Even when the pandemic is over and we are back to the normal situation, some of the technologies will continue, will persist with them, because they have shown that they are very, very advantageous to all of us. Now, at this point in time, it's 12:54, and I'm going to ask each of the panelists, okay, one question as a takeaway for all the audience is that, I am as a student, okay, I'm graduating maybe in a year or so, 6 months or whatever. What advice would you give me in terms of acquisition of the right attitude, so that I can look at this entire digital processes more amicably, and then prepare myself, acquire skills, and what kind of skills to be able to successfully bring about a change in myself from this mode to the other mode. I would request each member to please have a suggestion for them. Okay, any advice or any guidance to them. Okay, we can begin with Dr. Ankita, if you would like to.
Sure, thank you. Couple of advices. I think everybody is mature enough and they are doing much more than what they should be doing. But staying open is really important. I think today we are in an era where it is all either need-based, like you just mentioned, and the next thing is capability. If there is a need and if you are capable enough to fit in, there's no gap, and there will be no gap. Data is available in abundance. We know where we are. There are projections where we will be in 2025 or 2030. We keep saying every day is changing. So how do we believe or rely on that data? But there's no harm in preparing yourself for being future ready. So just to summarize, I would say, don't assume, believe in your capability. If you think that you are any less than anybody, put in more effort, invest more in yourself. Don't stop learning. Even if you become an expert of one particular skill, there are so many human skills, there are so many soft skills. At the same time, there are so many cross-functional skills, which are technical skills, where you can invest. So you are available for a broader acceptance and broader opportunities in your career.
Excellent.
And do not
Thank you.
compromise with digital literacy, I will say. Do not.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ankita. I think very pertinent one. Vikas.
Sure, sir. So simple advice from my end for students in the digital era, because literally information is available on fingertips, like they say. When you go online, you have Netflix, you have a Discovery Channel, you have Coursera, you have YouTube, you have music, you have National Geographic, you have your own campus information available to you. Where you spend your 24 hours will really determine where you land up in the future. So you've got to have very strong self-discipline to guide yourself.
All right. Thank you very much, Vikas. Dharam.
3 bullet points.
Yep.
Number 1, believe in yourself. Number 2, leverage the technology. Number 3, leverage the digital behavior also. Learn and keep continuously learning.
Okay. Thank you very much. Harjeet.
So when Dr. Ankita said, na, invest in yourself, that doesn't mean spend money on yourself. Learn something. So I wanted to clarify that.
Right.
So I will just give you one more point. Whatever you are studying at college, and that is good. Focus on that. And apart from that, if you just learn Excel, Word, and PowerPoint, that will give you a good enough leverage at corporates. Koi bolta nahi hai, but this is something which is very, very important if you know these things.
All right. Thank you very much, Harjeet. Professor Das.
Quickly, I think
Yes.
1 minute you have given me. I think all our students know that there are 3 aspects of learning, any learning for that matter: knowledge, skills, and attitude. It's very commonsensical, so I'll use those terms rather than the Aristotelian philosophy of it. So knowledge, learn yourself. Google Baba is there. So please be autodidact on this learning part of it, knowledge part of it. Skill, please go to your teachers. Learn collaboratively, go to your peers, learn together. There are much of the skills to be learned in group work, in doing with your own hands. Invest time, resources, etc. For your attitude, you have to go to your teachers. So learn the right attitude at the feet of your teachers, your parents, society at large. For skill, peer learning with the help of teachers, and just knowledge, I think there is enough stuff out there. You just have to have the intention to learn.
Thank you very much, Professor Das. I think we are almost up at the end of our time. It's 12:59, and we believe in, everything, good thing has to end at a good time. Very quickly to summarize, I'm not going to summarize the entire stuff. Majorly, I'll talk about the takeaway. The last question was very relevant, in terms of giving us certain things which we can walk away with. And I must congratulate all the panelists having given wonderful advice. All these advice are very practical in nature. And I'm not going to say who said what, but I think one thing which stands out is that open-mindedness is very important. World is going to constantly keep on changing. We cannot be rigid. We cannot get stuck in time that and be, paramparavadi or rudhivadi, as we say. We need to keep on learning. The world is changing. We have to change the world. Open-mindedness. Ankita also said that become data-oriented, because a lot of evidence and data coming in. And I think in this context, Harjeet's suggestion also comes in, that how do you process data? So, using Excel and getting a great grasp over the Excel is very, very important. And make effort, okay? Nothing is going to happen easily. We are living in a tough and very competitive world, and you cannot keep your eyes closed. Vikas very rightly pointed out that all this is not going to be possible unless we are self-disciplined, okay? We are mature enough to know what is the right thing to do. Just knowing is not enough. Go and put it into practice, and that would happen when we have self-diffidence, the discipline. Dharam talked about leveraging the technology and keep on learning. Leveraging the technology, take responsibility of your learning, as Professor Das said. You have to be on our own. Learn not only on your own, but from your peers also, and then teachers are going to be a great source of learning. And when I'm saying so, not because I myself as a teacher, put your teacher on a higher pedestal so that the natural process of what we call the gravity, things from the teacher come down to you. Never ever think whatever technological access you have, you might be good at manipulating certain things, but at the end of the day, the teachers know the best way to interpret the knowledge for you, help you understand it, and we help you utilize it. So your major difference in attitude is going to come to you when you go up at the feet of the teacher, not literally, but be with the teacher. They will help you and guide you. Be open to them. I always say that when you want to learn, be shameless. Okay, if you are too conscious of yourself, you will never be able to learn. So these are the takeaways for the students over here, and also takeaways for the teachers as to what these are the things we need to build up in our students. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. It has been excellent time spent together. You never realize how the time passes when we start talking, and I'm extremely grateful to my panel members that in spite of the pressure of the time, and I kept on raising my hand saying, okay, shorten it. They have been very, very cooperative, and I know them personally. These people themselves are great learning-oriented people. It has been a pleasure interacting with you all, and thank you very much, audience, for being there, asking your questions. I hope it has been useful time spent together. Thanks, Adamas, for partnering with us, Professor Das and Jyoti for coordinating and having wonderful time together. Over from my side, thank you very much. God bless you. Over to Jyoti and Professor Das for last words.
Jyoti, may you please?
I think a very enlightening and engaging session. Though I've already written a big thanks to all the panelists and to all the participants. What I missed was thanking FWA for partnering with Adamas University, right, and making this happen. Ankita, Mr. Shiv Shankar, Dr. Rizvi for stimulating this session. I think a wonderful session and a lot of takeaways, and I'm sure that each one of us has accepted and will try to inculcate what has been said by the panelists in the future. And Adamas University will look forward to host all the panelists at campus in the near future and not digitally. So thank you very much, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Professor Das would like to say something, or?
No, I think everything has been said. And since everything has been said, let's part. Thank you very much. But so not part forever. See you again. See you again. Maybe on a physical platform.
Take care.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. Rizvi.
Thanks.
My wife also says thank you.
Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. All right. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all of you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.